Welcome y'all to another episode of the Boozer Bud podcast where we keeping you informed, in touch, and in tune with the cannabis culture. Today we got a special guest by the name of Al Kamara, CEO of Spark 9. Kia, would you like to give a little introduction on our guest?
Okay, we have a special guest. We connected over Instagram. If I'm not mistaken, I'll pull my phone out right now. Drop that Instagram right now. So we got African underscore Scooby, right? Who hit us up and was ready to share his journey with MSOs, which are multi state operations, his journey in cannabis and his journey, how the war on drugs played a role. So, I'm too excited for this. Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, and how your relationship with cannabis started.
Thank you, man. First of all, I wanted to say it's a pleasure to be, on your podcast. I just like I told you guys before, I just recently came back from New York from MJ Unpacked, where there were so many entrepreneurs, CEOs from like all over the country. And I was able to network with so many people and network with so many people from New Jersey, New York, Ukraine. It was crazy. Like it was so many people there. A little bit about myself. So my name is Al Kamara. I'm from New Brunswick, New Jersey. I've been in the cannabis industry for about 4 to 5 years now. I've worked for MSO companies like Garden State Dispensary, Ascend Wellness, and I pretty much got a lot of my experience working from them. um, at first, before I actually worked for MSOs, I actually worked for a private company, which was Garden State Dispensary. The MSO that actually took over Garden State Dispensary is called Air Wellness. But a lot of my experience came from working with this private company, Garden State Dispensary, learning how to cultivate, post harvest, packaging, bud tending, leadership, learning seed to sale, literally everything. And that's kind of how I took that passion and that love from cannabis to kind of try to start my own business.
Right. And so tell me a little bit more about, so now that you've gotten that experience and you started your own business, Spark Nine, where is Spark Nine now in its journey?
Okay, so I started Spark 9 about a year ago, back in 2022. It's 1 year anniversary. We're still in April, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
about 2 weeks ago. Right now, in the process, it's in the submission process right now of the NJCRC. I've recently submitted my application at the end of March. um, and I am a social equity applicant, so I do have priorities of my application shooting up to the top of the list. So I'm hoping to hear back from them. You know, kind of close to like the middle of June, I believe, because it was the end of March. So we'll say like around the middle of June, let's say early July. But in the process right now, I do have my cultivation license, which is a you know, uh, partnership with my business partner. It's called Herbal Vibes. And what we're trying to do is we're pretty much trying to get our retail license and our manufacturing license. So we're pretty much, kind of having our own private company where we're, distributing all of our products without really having any type of MSOs involved. And, we're just kind of keeping it, black owned, black business, and yeah, just have our own type of money flow going without getting any of those larger companies involved.
And how important is that to you?
It's important to me, man, honestly, because I'm trying to leave a legacy for my son. um I'm trying to show him, and I'm trying to show a lot of other black entrepreneurs out there that it's possible without having to depend on other people. And I've been trying to do this journey since 2016. I've hit so many trials and tribulations. There were times where I was actually planning to move out of New Jersey, and go and move to Colorado or California just to kind of get into the cannabis industry because I never really knew where, the cannabis industry was going in New Jersey until, like, I started following up with the news and the NJCRC and just so many blogs and stuff that are being posted up on the internet. And, I kind of just fell in line. Um,
So, so
yeah,
you would say that your relationship with the cannabis industry started before its legalization.
I would say it definitely did. My relationship with cannabis started, I would say, around 2010, 2011. It was pretty much after my dad passed away from cancer. I was trying to look for something to resort to make me feel better. A lot of my friends were smoking at the time. I was, like a football athlete, so I wasn't really into smoking cannabis at the time. I didn't really know anything about cannabis, but just that it gets you high, just the regular. And, after my dad passed away from cancer, I kind of, took that route to find a therapeutical drug to kind of, keep me sane because I felt myself losing my mind. I was losing sleep. I couldn't really concentrate. And then, after, I smoked my first J, like when I was, I'll say 16, 17, it kind of just changed my whole perspective about everything.
Right.
Um,
So let's stay in
yeah.
that time frame. During that time, did you continue with your athletics?
Yes, I actually did. I played football for Wesley College, which is located in Dover, Delaware, for about a year. They were the top ranked Division III school in the nation. And then I ended up transferring back to New Jersey, to kind of stay closer to my family and my mom, because I realized that the out of state college scene wasn't really for me. So then I ended up transferring to William Patterson University, where I ended up getting my bachelor's degree in public relations.
Great, great. Now, I only asked to keep it in line with to show that there is no negative recourse when using cannabis properly and still maintaining an athletic regimen.
Oh yeah,
So
of course. Well, to be truthfully honest, we all know that athletes consume cannabis, man. Even in the NFL and the NBA, we just seen that the NBA kind of just raised the restrictions on cannabis.
that's right.
In the NFL, a guy, what's his name, Josh Gordon, was getting
Yes,
in trouble for smoking marijuana all the time, and look at the situations right now.
right.
Like
Ricky Williams, Josh Gordon,
yeah, the
yeah,
list goes on. Randy Moss, let's not say
Randy
Randy
Moss.
Moss did when he was playing for the Patriots.
That's right.
So yeah, so like cannabis has always been a part of the culture, and that's what people fail to understand. And like me actually going to this meeting, well, this conference for 3 days up in New York really made me realize that we need a lot more people like us at these events, man, because it's like we're literally the culture, like just like I said, like this is I say cannabis
We
is a
are the
poor man
culture,
drug.
yet we're underrepresented within this so-called culture. That's a hell of an enigma, isn't it?
Exactly, because the reason why I say that cannabis is a poor man drug is because they use this drug for the war on drugs to affect people like minority people, and now they're trying to make money out of it when there's still people in jail, for actually getting arrested for cannabis. When I was working at Ascend Wellness, I met he's now a business partner of mine. His name is Kyle Page, and he's a part of the Last Prisoners Project, and he pretty much got arrested in Kansas for trying to move 72 pounds of marijuana from Kansas to New York, and ended up doing 6 years down in Kansas. And the Last Prisoners Project ended up getting him out of jail, ended up getting him a job into the cannabis industry, and he ended up to meet very powerful people. Me and him ended up being able to meet up. He met with Miss Grass. He met with so many like important corporate people. So like it's just messed up, man. Because like a lot of people really don't know too much about cannabis, and that, and I feel like that's kind of why I'm here too. I'm a voice. I've been around for about 5 years, and I'm trying to kind of educate people a little bit more about what cannabis is and how it works and the effect that it has on our people and how we can move forward from it.
Facts.
Right.
Facts.
Right. And it's crazy you say that. My dad knows a little something, but I recently just went through something as of like a few days ago, and make products using hemp seed oil, so oil extracted from the seed of the cannabis sativa plant.
Hmm.
And what's so funny to me is recently I've been blocked from selling because I've been deemed a cannabis dispensary. And I just found that I found that so I was infuriated. A, B, it was just so crazy because to me it revealed just this stigma that anytime someone hears cannabis, they automatically make certain assumptions. And I'm not a cannabis dispensary. Like I don't sell flour. I sell oils that can be used on your skin and hair using that just incorporate one of the many oils that is used.
Right.
It's
Well,
so
right. Well, you're not saying that wrong because then you
yeah,
got places like a GNC which will sell something with hemp seed oil in it for you to,
right.
dietary supplement for your recovery from exercise and stuff like that. So they're not deemed cannabis dispensaries. Why should you be deemed one, right?
Right.
But we know it's different strokes for different folks, right?
And I just thought that that spoke so nicely to the to what you were saying about more of us need to be at conferences like this, or more of us need to be in those positions, because I feel like ultimately I'm not going to blast the company, but ultimately, like, if you had somebody like us or somebody that was in tune with the culture, you would know that I'm not a cannabis dispensary. They just
Definitely.
see hemp and just make
Right.
assumptions.
Right.
Definitely.
So
And that's
I
how we
will
can affect change, right? With more of us in there, in the know-how, you
de-
can't show if you don't know, kid, right?
right,
definitely.
right,
I would say, I feel like a lot of the market trends kind of, have people to have this type of stereotype of, the type of
Hmm.
businesses that you're trying to do. Because look, man, people know, there's money to be made out here in the tri-state. People know the market out here in New Jersey. You know, they literally said in by 2020, 26, the market's supposed to shoot up into 2.6 billion.
right. I seen
So
that. I seen
exactly.
that.
So a lot of realtors and people that know that you're in the cannabis industry or doing something with cannabis, they're gonna try to get the upper hand on you any chance that they
Hmm.
get. You know what I mean? Like, because they already know what that means and what that number means. That means that literally anybody that's able to operate a business between now and 2016 is guaranteed to be a millionaire. Like 2.6 billion, you got to think about that. Like,
Right.
that's guaranteed for you to have generational wealth, generational change. And a lot of people want a piece of that. It's just,
Why do you think that sparks so much fear when it comes to our people getting a piece of that though?
well, I mean, I do feel like because it's setting a new standard. I think that a lot of people are starting to wake up now and realize that hey, it's maybe not that hard to be a millionaire as much as people think it is. And a lot of people have been waiting for this trend to come for years, to actually take off. So I mean, as far as our people, I do know that the percentage of millionaires of black people definitely did raise up a little. Not I wouldn't say shoot up, but have definitely have increased. From the past couple of years, and it's just
Yes.
from social media. People actually starting to figure it out. People starting to awaken more. So I mean that's pretty much it. Like
Well,
that's
hopefully
that's
it's
that's my
because of
assumption.
hopefully it's because of platforms like us, people like you that inform, so that we can do better as a people. You know what I mean? And that's why we bring people on here like you. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's
and
right, man.
and to add to that, like talking real business, right? Real cannabis business. You just talked about the market valuation, 2.6 billion dollars by 2026. We're in 2023, so within a span of 3 years, we're talking about a major uptick, and that's just the beginning though. And I
Right.
think that's what's so scary is ultimately. they're probably gonna strike me down for this, but ultimately, America is a business, right? And that's how it was started, so that people can engage in commerce without no taxation, without representation. People didn't want the government in their businesses, in their affairs. And ultimately, when you get a group of people that we were smoking weed before y'all said it was okay. We knew the
Exactly.
benefits of marijuana, of cannabis, hemp, CBD. We knew those benefits well before the government decided they ever wanted to study it. And so empowering a people to start making money off of something that they was going to do regardless,
Exactly.
and those people look like black people, and ultimately, like, there's nothing new invented under the sun, right? So the rope got replaced with a gun. They're not lynching
Hmm.
people, there is police brutality. And so I feel like this is another thing where they're trying to enslave us in some way. That's why you see very high registration fees. You
Correct.
see it's so much capital that's required to get in that it's almost like impossible for that person who was selling weed on the street or whatever to kind of convert over into the legal side without going through a few hiccups first.
Hmm.
And that is my biggest thing with Boozer Bud. And anybody who knows me, like, I'm very vocal when it comes to our people, but um
Preach.
Yeah, we need more
ultimately,
people like you. Honestly, like we definitely do, man. Like I'm definitely like big on trying to have change, especially for our people, and definitely trying to have generational wealth. What I say is that when it comes to the cannabis industry, like we are the trend. You know what I'm saying? We're the trend that everybody's trying to be like. You know what I mean? That's in everything. Like
Yes.
from the
Yes.
beginning of time. You know what I mean? So it's
Yes.
just you
right.
just gotta apply that to everything that you wanna do in life. Like yo, like I'm that dude, like I'm her, like I'm him, like you feel me, like that's
Mhm.
just how you have to
Anyone
like
should feel
attack
like that,
everything.
right?
Exactly, man. Because it's like if you don't have that self motivation to motivate yourself, nobody's really gonna put that fire under you. Like
Right.
people, you know what I'm saying? So like that's kind of how I attack everything. Like I started this business literally by myself, and I'm still pushing. And I feel like I don't really need to bring anybody along because all my work and everything is going to show, and then it's going to gravitate the right people to come back to me, you know what I mean, without me having to be like, hey, well, I'm trying to start this cannabis business, do you want to be a part of this? It's going to be big, we're going to make, you know what I'm saying, I don't like,
Right.
it's all about, yo, like you got to understand where we're at and what we're trying to do, that's it, like, and that's
Right.
that's kind of where I'm at with it, you know what I'm
And
saying.
and for our listening audience, that's like, okay, maybe some of us are in cannabis business, whether that looks like creating, media platforms, that looks like creating retail businesses, cultivation, whatever that looks like. But then a lot of our listening audience is here to just understand cannabis, right?
Hmm.
Because we've been told so many things over the years that we have to first debunk what we were told and then build with the proper knowledge and education. And one thing, I can't tell you what to do with your money, but one way you support is put your dollar where your heart is. Shop black owned, shop
Right.
local, and that includes cannabis and otherwise. Like, if we
Yes.
wanna if we wanna see each other win, the best way you could take your black dollar is to go spend it with another black person, especially in cannabis, because we know,
Well, explain to our listeners and viewers the social equity factor and what that means, and
Yeah, so the social equity factor of everything is we're pretty much trying to get, a lot of people involved with, like, trying to get their uh their records expunged. I'm a part of Blaze Responsibly. Every month they have expungement clinics where they try to help people, black and brown and minorities, to, get um any type of cannabis, whether you got stopped by the police, whether it's like a felon charge or anything. They try to help, people of our kind to, kind of have a new start, so you can find jobs, because it's a lot hard, like when you have, records on, well, you have some like
Mhm.
things on your records. So that's kind of what I'm part of. When it does come to social equity too as well, I have been affected on the war on drugs. I was first arrested in 2015 when I was actually attending William Patterson University. I was with some friends. We literally got pulled over at a red light, like exactly at a red light, because a cop said that he smelled marijuana coming from our car from two cars behind.
Hmm.
And I was in the passenger seat, and I wasn't even the driver, but he said that I looked suspicious because I had my head down. I was the one that actually had the cannabis, so I wasn't trying to really make no eye contact with
Well,
him.
you look
I didn't.
suspicious because you were young and black. And
Exactly. I
okay,
was dressed up. I was looking nice. I had a presentation that I couldn't even make because I got arrested that day. He said I looked suspicious because I was the only one that wasn't looking him in the eye. I was like, okay, he literally took us out of the car at a red light. Like, so this is car, like, incoming traffic. Everybody's rubbernecking, looking at us, getting uh searched by the cops at a red light. um, I was able to tuck. I had like about an eighth and like two dime bags on me. I was able to tuck the eighth, and he found the two dime bags, and he ended up arresting me for, I guess, possession of marijuana. I guess lying to a cop about having marijuana on you.
yes,
Um, so they ended up arresting me. They towed my friends' cars. They had to find ways back to campus. Um, they ended up having to get me back out the same day, after they processed me into the system. And then literally from there, it was kind of like an ongoing thing. Like, and then I ended up getting arrested again in Bloomfield, ended up getting arrested in Plainsboro, ended up getting arrested in North Brunswick, all for like little petty marijuana crimes, just all possessions. Literally, me just trying to medicate and get my mind off of things about how unfair this world could be sometimes. Just certain, just
yes,
it's crazy, man. And then it's like it's crazy just how like everything just did a 360. Like now I'm talking about cannabis now. I have my own cannabis business. Like I have experience in working in cannabis, learning from seed to sale. Learning how to grow, and it's so surreal and crazy to me. But it's definitely a journey, and I know that one day this story's gonna go out, and it's gonna inspire other people to kind of embark in the same journey as me. That's kind of why I'm doing this, is to let people know that there's hope out there for people like us. And just because people are telling you that you need millions and millions of dollars to start a cannabis industry, you don't. Like, sometimes it just matters about the people, and 9 times out of 10, the people that you have to know are at these events that people like us need to go to. But we just kind of shy from it because we kind of feel like we're not good enough, or
right.
people
And that's
are
what
we're
I like
afraid of
about it.
rejection.
I like the fact that in this business, you see that people still have drive. It's not that you lack drive or intuition or uh, uh, even ability when
Hmm.
dealing with cannabis. And see, this is the stigma that this removes. And in this industry, you're able to just witness it amongst
Right.
our people. So even if you thought that this was a negative aspect of your life, your relationship with cannabis, you can now see the positivity in it.
Right.
And the social equity part, because I've been adversely affected, and this is what's important to me. This those who were adversely affected in our community, our meaning the impoverished minority community,
Hmm.
i.e., the black and brown community of America, right?
Correct.
And a lot of us, whether you were a son or a daughter of someone who was convicted of a marijuana crime, you suffered from this. And so the social equity factor is given back to those that suffered from this through this cannabis industry, right?
Right.
And so when me and you say that we're a part of the social equity factor, in in some essence, not only do they owe us a duty to reimburse us, but we owe a duty not only to ourselves but to our people
Right.
to reimburse them. You
Hmm.
know?
And that kind of brings me to like one thing. I'm in social media marketing, so one thing that I'm realizing too is it's a twofold with these events that you're talking about, these conferences. So you just came back from a conference in New York, and so it's twofold with the people hosting these events. Make it inviting for people to come, like, or and get the word out there. And when you put up flyers, don't just put up flyers of white people smoking J's. Like, also show it. Even if I was that thugged out person, show me too, because I'm a part of the
You
cannabis
blaze the
culture.
trail more than likely, right?
Right,
Right,
right.
The ones that we're saying the thugged outs, the burnt outs, the weed heads, the pie heads, these are the trailblazers. These are the
right,
legacies. These are the ones who
Exactly.
open up these doorways for those that are now corporate to benefit and
right.
monetize off of something that we've been a part of forever. We are the culture, like the brother just said.
Right. And it reminds me of the fact of, like, marketing is so important. I feel like a lot of people don't, including in the cannabis industry, a lot of MSOs, a lot of big corporations don't consider the impact that marketing can have. We know that representation matters, period. It's important for you to see people that look like you, talk like you, come from where you come from in certain places, to feel, so when you're that small child, to feel like it's possible. So for the people that are creating these events and these conferences, or creating these big businesses, ultimately, when your marketing only looks one way, it makes it seem like there's only one way to be a cannabis professional, or there's only one way to be a cannabis consumer, and it's not. And that's one thing that, like, I know, like, kind of frustrates me in social media marketing, is because, social media is already touchy with cannabis as it is. A lot of these
Hmm.
social media apps aren't. We talked about this in our last episode. You're getting blocked, you're getting censored, you're getting essentially blacklisted on a lot of these apps. So it's like, with the marketing that we do have that we can consume, can we not make it seem like it's only one way to consume cannabis? Because, like,
Right,
you know what are the different ways? And that's even something I have to hold myself accountable for. Am I showing people using it topically? Am I talking about those things? Am I talking about the edible versus the smoking versus the topical versus the lingual, drops underneath your tongue? Like, am I talking about that? And I think that that's part of it. That's the one fold. And then the second fold is, like, for our people, everybody listening, we have to work better together. We have to stop wanting to be independent silos and work on networking and collaborating with each other, because we will get our furthest in solidarity. And that has I don't and even if you do your homework, you go back to Black Panthers, you go back to Maroons, you go back to solidarity. You must have solidarity.
Well,
So,
united we stand, divided we fall, right?
right,
right,
right. Right. And I feel like that's major in this cannabis world. And one thing that I hope, to make an impact on, as somebody who I've never directly had anything on my record encounters with the laws as far as, like, marijuana goes, but I'm the child of somebody who dealt with that on the legal side. And as being a child, I can say right here in full confidence that I really don't blame weed for what has happened in my lifetime, like my father being incarcerated, or anything. I don't blame weed. I blame a system that wasn't equipped to look at weed as the herbal medicine that it was. And so we're gonna move forward. It's not the weed. It's not it's not the weed. It's not the marijuana. It's not the cannabis. It's not hemp. It's not CBD. If we're gonna move forward, we have to, if I'm talking big companies, need to build better systems, but B, within our community, we don't have to take systems. We can create our own. That's fully
right,
possible.
right. I'll say that, you know, the industry still is very immature on the East Coast. I spoke to like a lot of people that, dispense and have like cultivation sites out in like California, Colorado, Seattle. And like the way they're just so advanced when it comes to cannabis, like we're not even on their level right now, because we're still trying to fight for towns to approve people and
Right.
say like, hey, look, cannabis is still, like
So
it's
what's some improvements that you think we can embark on?
some improvements we can definitely embark on. Honestly, is like, I think it's just like you said, it's kind of just coming together, man. Like we have to have like a strong foundation when we actually go to like these events and these meetings, and just in general, like having podcasts and having like certain type of things that bring us together to have a bigger audience. Like what, like one of the things I've seen, going to like a lot of these events is that when you see other people just like us, we're so forced to kind of like network with each other because we notice that there isn't a lot of us there. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like we stand out. You know what I mean? And I noticed that, like, a lot of like these MSO companies and larger brand companies, they're trying to gravitate themselves towards our circle because they want to know what we're talking about. They want to know the trends. You know what I'm saying? So it's like just like I told you, we are the trend, we are the culture. Like they brought this drug to us. Like, you know what I mean? We didn't ask for it. You know what I mean? They brought the war on drugs on us. Like this was something we went to jail for. We died for, like almost everything, blood, sweat, and tears. So it's like they know that we know just a little bit more when it comes to knowledge about cannabis than they do.
Right.
And the fact that they're starting to accept a lot of more black applicants to get their license out here. And I also feel like I have an advantage too, just being in the cannabis industry for about 5 years. So I was able to learn the difference between THC levels and terpenes, and different type of smells and colors and things like that. It
Some of the
definitely does give
specifics
us an
that may
advantage.
elude, you talking about some of the specifics that may elude the common consumer, right?
Correct, yes. So I just feel like that gives me an advantage, and that's just something that I'm trying to give back to my community as well. Is like, look, man, you don't have to go to these MSOs and buy their weed for 60, $80. We could just learn how to grow it. Grow yourself. You know what I'm saying? Like you don't have, what I'm saying, kind of just do your own thing, but you know what I'm saying? Like that's just how you learn, man. You know what I'm saying? You got to learn how to do things so you don't have to need people.
Yeah. Learn
Yeah,
how to
and
fish, then you ain't got to go to the market.
Exactly.
right. And I think that's part of what scares them, the big them. Is it because to be honest, people see weed or cannabis, whatever, and they think of this little green bud that people get high off of. And they automatically make these assumptions of like laziness or not productive or not professional, or there's a whole lot of no's and nots and what you can't do with cannabis. But as somebody who, I've been in private schools, full scholarships to colleges, running two businesses. And I could very much so tell you that when I see cannabis and the people that I know around me that see cannabis, I really don't see nothing but liberation and solidarity. I see a way for me to connect with my community, connect to my heritage, connect to a culture, but also liberating myself from some of the things that may be holding me back that these other arenas have caused. Because if I'm being honest and reflecting on my experience at college, I went to a PWI. That's not easy. Like
I
that's
know.
not easy at all. I went to a PWI 5 hours from home, bro. No car. like it's crazy, and I'm sure you can relate to that too with your out of state experience and where you went, and that's not easy. I don't think that
Mhm.
I could have successfully managed my college career or the anxiety that comes with being, the college is putting pressure on you to be this top performer and to compete with people across the world like that. As humans, I don't think that we were necessarily designed to be in some of those environments. And cannabis was one thing that I didn't know it then, but I know it now, that that was one thing that kept me level, that could bring me back, ground me. It was time where I could literally, like, the time that I was taking to smoke was time that I was also taking to say, yo, are you good today? Because
Yeah.
Right.
it was time I was taking for myself. It wasn't in an essay, it wasn't in a classroom, it wasn't, I was a track runner. I was smoke weed while I was running track, and that's something that I've never spoke about on the podcast because I guess my track career was very short lived. But like, I was a track runner, definitely smoking weed.
it's, it's like it be
Right, but
So
like
it was,
that.
and it
It be
wasn't
like
short
that.
lived because of cannabis. That had nothing to
no,
do with
no.
the life length of it. Right.
No, cannabis had nothing to do with the life length of it. Cannabis actually brought me clarity that I just didn't like how I was being coached. I didn't feel like I was being coached to take it. to a collegiate level. So I just let it go. Like if I'm not gonna take it, if I'm not gonna take it to a collegiate level, but it had nothing to do with the cannabis. In fact, like when I tell you this might be hereditary, dad, probably because I feel like he told me, but I got shin splints so bad
Yeah.
Me too.
every
I did
track
track too. I did
season.
too. I know how that is.
And the
It's
weed would
crazy.
help, honestly. Like the weed would help. I didn't know at the time, I didn't know it because of my age. I felt like I was more so trying to conceal, like, oh, let me duck behind this bush. I ain't trying to get caught. But it's like now knowing that, I always felt like, okay, after practice, if I smoke just like this, like it just all just you just felt relaxed and settled. And I noticed that because it would be hard for me to do my regular day to day because I done went to practice Monday to Saturday, and
Hmm.
I'm
Right.
still running, and I got shin splints. So now just walking to class hurts because I done got shin splints from track practice. So
Right.
that was
Your recovery time wasn't ample. So
yeah.
actually, the use of cannabis may have been aiding in that.
Right, right. I would be interested. I haven't touched the track in a long time, but I could tell you honestly. I think that at the time, if I'm looking back, my life, my brain might have been more organized because I was writing poetry, running track, and smoking weed. And I think that's a place that I want to get back to. I
Yeah,
need to
that's
get
dope.
back to being
You
active,
you
writing poetry, and smoking weed, man.
you was probably smoking that indica, man. That indica is definitely what relaxes the body. So
Right.
you was that I definitely that's what's up, man. Because honestly, with me, it was just like in high school, because I ran track in high school too. Like it was just so hard for me to kind of smoke because like one, I was still like experimenting cannabis like around high school, so like it was
Mm-hmm.
always like an on and off kind of thing. So
Mm-hmm.
like
See.
I just always didn't want to blame like let's just say like if I like smoked like a little J before, like before like an actual meet or like
Mm-hmm.
before like my race, I just didn't want to have something to be like, yo, it's probably because you took those last two
Right.
hits or
Right.
whatever.
You
Like,
didn't want to. You
you
didn't
know what
want
I'm
to suffer
saying? Like,
defeat and then have an
right.
out or a
Right.
justification. Right.
Right.
But after the fact, though, after the fact, hurting from my shin splints and,
Yeah.
me coming first and second, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Then I hit that, like, yeah, you know what? Like,
I
yeah,
really
man.
did that.
That was...
Not only are we going to meditate, we're going to celebrate. Right.
exactly, exactly. But yeah, after like every meet, after every football game, like we used to just like just reflect on everything, and it was always good positivity and good vibes, and man, that's kind of what we're trying to do right now. We're trying to bring back like the old fashioned, classic strains that people know and love, like like Blue Dreams, like Blue Cheese, Train Wrecks, the old sour, like the sour, like
Right.
the old sour diesel. Like I'm not
Right.
talking about all this like stuff that they spraying on. We're talking about like the real official sour, like the one where you taste it on your tongue when you like, we're talking about that type. Now we're
Yeah.
talking about Girl Scout cookies, moon rocks, like things like that, like that you don't really see out here like that. That's what we're trying to bring to the East Coast market.
And what's crazy is like when I was younger, I didn't know what I was smoking. Like weed was just weed. Like it really didn't have names. And then I remember when I went to college is when I first got my first menu. And it was like all the names and I'm like, which one you recommend? Like I just used to just say, let me get an eighth. Like I didn't really know what it was. And then once I started to discover, at first I was super sativa out. I was sativa
Hmm.
out. But now that maybe I'm going back to kind of what I was doing then. I'm more of a hybrid indica dominant indica person, honestly. I find myself picking up a lot of indica things. And I think it's like you said, for that, I get so wound up because I'm always worried about what the next
Hmm.
is and what the to-do list is and gotta check all of these things off, gotta be here, gotta be there. Like I'm running, honestly, I got Boozer Bud podcast, two businesses, being a regular daughter, godmom, whatever. Like it's a lot.
You need
So
a little sedation.
Right.
yeah, you need to bring it all in.
Right.
And for me it's like now, like you said, going to these events. I went to Hemp Fest up in Newark by
I
Plantivia.
heard about that.
Dope. I will be back next year. I hope you come too. It's a lot
Yeah,
of
I was
black.
kind of mad. I was kind of mad I missed it when I was up in New York because it looked like a good event. I think
Nah,
I
it
liked it
was.
on your page. I believe.
Yeah, like, and one thing I noticed too was just like I thought that I like knew enough to feel like I
Hmm.
knew a little bit about most of the things in cannabis and that I can explore deeper into things as they came up. Going
Hmm.
to that event helped me to see that I wasn't even seeing a lot. And that kind of excited me as a someone who likes to learn because it felt like being in this industry, I would never get bored. I would never get tired. I would never feel like, oh, another day at the job. Like
Right.
I would
Yeah,
never feel like that.
yeah, definitely. There's always something to learn out of every step that you take, especially in this industry, man. You always run into people that could always teach you something, that can give you like a spark of any type of knowledge that can help you move forward as a podcast, as a businesswoman or a businessman, just everything. That's kind of the reason why I go, whether I have 100 people behind me or not.
Right.
That's kind of like the motivation that keeps moving forward. What I kind of forgot to leave out, on my cannabis journey too as well was, after when I got my medical card, I was so eager to try and get into the cannabis industry that I told you that I was even planning on moving away. But then when I really realized that, the cannabis industry was coming to New Jersey, that's when I kind of took it upon myself to kind of, try to find my way into one of these, cannabis dispensaries, like one of these stores.
Hmm.
So like I literally, when I tell you, I dedicated one day to drive to all the dispensaries from like North Jersey all the way to South Jersey. Like I went to Curaleaf, I went to Garden State, I went to Breakwater, I went to all of them. I'm suited and booted, resume in hand. I printed out like about 10 of my
Right.
resumes in a folder. I was just like, and I was waiting in line like I was going to buy cannabis like everybody else. I was just like, hi, my name is Al Kamara. I'm interested, and had no experience, no nothing, and I was so overwhelmed because I did all of that just for nobody. Like they were just like, yeah, we'll pass it to the manager and somebody will get back to you, and nobody got back to me. Like,
Did they
and
did they think you were impersonating a football player? Maybe.
I honestly I don't know, man. Alvin Kamara wasn't in the league at the time, so
Uh,
it was hard to say him. But
right.
like I was devastated, man. I was just like, I'm doing all this, and nobody called me back. And then literally 2 years after I did all of that, that's how long it took. 2 years. And when they called me, they didn't even say um like dispensary. It was just like, hi, you know compassionate care. I'm thinking it's like a group home or something. I was like, what is this? It was like
All right.
it
Present
was just like
themselves as a wellness company, right? They even knew
right.
the stigma of saying anything related to cannabis. So it's amazing that someone in the industry would even be remiss in stating full disclosure on what business we're talking about.
Exactly. So literally, it was a blessing in the sky, and who knew that that would have been, my first step to literally everything I'm doing right now. So, I definitely, I definitely want to say thank you to the Garden State Dispensary when it was private owned, because that's kind of where, a lot of my knowledge and, learning how to talk to people and, just learning the business came from,
That's
to be
dope.
honest.
So now we're coming up on uh pretty, what, 45, almost 45 minutes. And I guess my question to you would be, now after you've been through these things and you're in the process, give me two things you would tell somebody that's just trying to start out. Like, what it could be motivational, inspirational, business wise, but like if you could tell somebody that's trying to get it off the ground right now, what two pieces of advice would you give them?
All right. The first thing would be consistency, man, because just like I told you, I started, my cannabis LLC like about a year ago, and I didn't even know where it was gonna take me. I didn't know. I also thought I wasn't good enough. Because people always tell you it's impossible. You need X amount of dollars. You gotta be in the right circles. but I'm consistent with it, like, so my main thing to tell people that are trying to come up, whether it's in any business, not in just cannabis, is just, be consistent in what you do and always believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, nobody else is going to believe in yourself. And
Right.
that's what I've noticed about everything in life. Like, like if you want to be the best salesman that you ever want to be, you got to know in your mind and soul that I'm the best person that I can, I can sell these three cars in a week, like you got to believe it internally, and then people are just going to start believing in you. You know what I mean? So it's always about consistency, and the last one would be perseverance, like always know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Like people always don't like to see, like they always kind of, what's the word, like they kind of get so distracted on, how far they came, but they don't really, kind of see, the light at the end of the tunnel. So it's kind of like just keep pushing forward. Consistency and perseverance is one of the two main keys to success. That's what I've used to kind of get myself and to hurdle through all these obstacles that I'm going through and all these roadblocks. So yeah, it's that's pretty much it.
No, that's dope. And consistency, perseverance are key. I think regardless of if you're in cannabis or not, just building a business, a startup business, a business from the muscle, get it out the mud. You in the trenches right now. Sometimes you gotta stay down till you come up. And that's really what it is. Stay down with yourself, and I like those two pieces of advice, and I hope that our listening audience can apply that, whether that be in exploring your cannabis journey, finding how cannabis can work for you, consistency and perseverance, same with cannabis business, small business, entrepreneurship. So tell us more now how we can support your journey in cannabis. Where do we follow you? Websites? How do we get in contact with you?
Hey man, well, if anybody ever wants to contact me or anybody from Spark Nine, just follow our Instagram page at Spark Nine LLC. You can also shoot us an email. We've been real busy doing a lot of these podcasts. Like I said, we literally just spoke to the writers from Ganjapreneur and High Rise. So, we've been really busy, but we definitely do respond to all the emails that come our way. So you can definitely follow us at Spark9 LLC on Instagram, on Twitter. Our direct email is Spark9Inc. So Spark9Inc at gmail.com. And yeah, man, we're about to get this ball rolling, Most likely we're trying to start operating towards the end of this year or the beginning of next year. So around,
So
January, March, so around this time. So yeah.
Well,
dope.
I wish you nothing but success. So
Thank you, man. Thank you. I really appreciate it. This is definitely dope. I hope next time I come, I'll have a spot for you guys to pull up on, and that we could actually do like a in person kind of
Yeah.
podcast interview. That'd be dope too.
Word
we
to
So
gonna make that happen, and we
get
ain't gonna make it a hope. We gonna make it happen.
get some J's rolled. We could definitely get the party
word.
started.
Yeah, especially once you get your spot up and running, we can even do like a little preview tour the shop with you. Whatever you want to do, I'm down. Like my dad said, ain't even a hope. Let's make it happen.
Right. So I forgot to leave this out too. So we do have three locations that, we already got approved for. So when we actually have our license, we can actually convert it to an annual. We um we secured this one spot in Jersey City, which is probably one of the hardest places right now in Jersey to get, approved at, Egg Harbor, and then this other town called Marlton, New Jersey.
Oh, that's
So I
South
mean,
Jersey.
yeah, that's South Jersey. Both of
Yeah.
them are in South Jersey. We're kind of banking
Yep.
on South Jersey right now, but we're
I ain't
keeping
gonna
our
lie. I'm from Trenton. I live out in South Jersey now. There's not a lot of industry here. I'm just keeping it real. Like,
I heard the market is it's kind of like they're itching for cannabis out
yes,
there.
Okay. So
yes.
the door
Yeah,
wide
so
open for you, bro. Make it happen.
yeah, I know, I know, I
And
know.
Marlton is Marlton got a few different places. You could find some people they every place got a hood. You could find some people like that, but you can also find some real high earners in that
It's
area
it's
too.
it's multi it's multicultural.
All
Right,
right, all right,
right.
all right, all right, all right. I like that. I like that.
But this
Yeah.
has been dope. Another great episode with Boozer Bud. If you're not following us already, follow us at the Boozer Bud Podcast. You'll also be able to find the link to our website there where you'll find more about this episode and more episodes coming up. Make sure you tap in with Spark 9 and Al Kamara. He has a lot of good things coming. Like I said, dope podcast, more to come. Look out for him. Once you open up that location, we in there. And until next time,
All right, man.
Peace.
It's been a
peace.
pleasure.
Yes. Let me stop.